Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. As you can see, I'm back in Starbucks after a couple of weeks of being back in the office. I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing about this. More than likely, once we get things back up and running full speed, I'm definitely probably going to seek out some office space. Now is not the time. There's a lot going on. Things are kind of tight business-wise, so we're not going to make a move now. But the house is really not the place for me. Who knows? I'll be back in there in a couple of days, but I'm going to take at least a couple of days and get out of there. Sorry about that. And get out there. As a black man who wakes up every morning with the intent of getting up and handling my business, first and foremost as a husband and as a father, and then the work that I do in my business and community. It's constantly in front of me how huge the challenge is for doing what we need to do on a consistent basis. This is not me complaining. The one thing that I can tell you is that my family will testify to 100% is that I'm never complaining about what I do. I take honor in what I do. Is it easy all the time? Absolutely not. Sometimes it's extremely difficult. Sometimes it's challenging, but I relish the challenge. But I ask a question, and the question was coming from a lot of different places. Because I have such passion for what I believe in. I believe for black men, and because I believe in black men, I have this idea of who we really are and what we're really capable of, because I see it in spots. I see it in the men that I admire. Some who may not even believe me when I tell them that, because to them, they think of themselves as just ordinary men doing what they do. But I see the world. And I know what's out there, and I know how the world views us, and I know that there are men out there who aren't living up to what we should be living up to. And I'm gonna. And so my thing is, I ask, what happens when you are faced with the challenge of manning up and standing up, and your family is looking for you to do it, and you're empty. Now, empty to me means that you feel like you've put everything you got into it, and you're at wit's end and your back is against the wall. Now, the thing is, you're going to have empty moments. What are you going to do about it? I heard some very interesting answers. I admire them all, and I understand where they come from. At the end of the day, the gist of it was, you have one option as a man up. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be with your back against the wall. It doesn't mean that every day you're going to have the answers, and there are never going to be any moments where you're just really, bent over from the blows. What it means is, in those moments, you don't have an option. You don't have an option to give up. You don't have an option to turn around. You don't have an option to fold. You got people depending on you. So what are you going to do? You're going to man up. You're going to sit up and suck it up. You're going to sit up and find a way to make it happen. And the truth is, there are a lot of us out there that's figuring this thing out. Sometimes we are in a smooth transition and movement. There are other times when we are really, truly struggling in many different ways. And I think one of the things that's black men that we are going to have to do is admit that we struggle, admit that it's not always easy, admit that every day isn't peaches and cream. Not in a manner in which you're complaining, but in a manner that sometimes you need to find a way to restore yourself, to replenish and rejuvenate. And I think you have to find that. I think one of the things that has really caused me, cost me health wise over the last 3 to 4 years, where I went from never having been in the hospital to been in an ICU twice in 3 years. Um, Part of it is my behind needs to be in better shape. You saw the video yesterday of me taking control of that. For so long, I took my fitness for granted, and being a person who's highly sedentary in the work I do, I have to make an effort to actually work out and train because I do a lot of work sitting down, writing, typing, counseling, and so many other things. Um, and so that is, something I do. But the other part of why I ended up in that is I never found time to replenish. I'm just taking, and going. And then all of a sudden you hit a wall and your body says, if you're not going to stop, I'll stop you. And then there you go. And here I am 3 4 days in ICU, dealing with, a life-threatening issue because I've just sit back and put so much energy into what I think is important, taking care of business, that I've forgotten also that I can't take care of business without being in the proper condition and shape and, and all of that. So we're working on that. We're changing our diet. We as in me. I don't know why but I'm changing my diet. I'm definitely more active, which should have never been the case, being that I own a fitness company. But it is what it is. It's time to practice what I preach. Um, so we're going to talk about that. But the reason I want to talk about it here is because I've had, like yesterday alone, 3 instances where Black men took the lives of their significant others, and in a couple of cases, took the lives of the children as well. Uh, One, I think in Milwaukee, another one, I think somewhere here in Texas, and then one more, and that was just in one day. Now, while I understand the numbers because I put a great deal of emphasis in understanding just how prevalent this is, and I do know that this doesn't make up the vast majority of us, it's still too common. It's still going to be used to paint a picture of us. And that's not the representation of manhood that I want representing me. At my worst, at my worst, I have not been a danger to the women in my life, my daughters, my exes, my current wife. Uh, my goal, literally, if you want to talk about me feeling like I failed, is probably the one time, maybe twice in 5 years where I've raised my voice. I've never called my wife out on any of my women, ex-women, people I've been significantly other. Matter of fact, Black women in general, but definitely not my wife. I've never called her out of her name. I don't raise my voice. Um, I don't raise my voice at my daughters. Lord knows they test me. But it's so much more to being a man than that. But that's where it starts with me is I can't bring any type of mental, emotional, or physical harm to them. So in essence, that's something that I have to work on. Before I get any further, let me ask you guys for your support. Um, the work we do. Black Men Lead, Restoring Ghettos Forgotten Daughters, the Mental Health Initiative, so many others. Uh, do that Cash App thing or do that GoFundMe thing or do that go to the site thing, whatever it is you like to do. But there it is sitting out there for you. I'm going to keep sharing this thing as I move through this because it's so important. Definitely, whatever way that you feel most comfortable, but definitely we need your help. I can't stress that enough. Now, uh, here's my thing. We can't be comfortable living in our personal enclaves and ignore our collective realities. What do I mean by that? It could be easy because the men that I hang around are stand-up men that, we all have our problems, we all have our struggles, we all have our difficulties, but we're all stand-up men. And what I mean by that is we own our responsibilities. Sometimes we're not where we want to be, but we own the fact that we're not there. We're not pretending. We're not ignoring the needs of those we love. We're standing up and we're fighting and we're trying. And it can be easy to sit up because that's our reality. To sit up and say, man, I'm good. But the truth is that there's another generation coming up, and they may not have the benefit of having a present father in the home. And when I say present, I don't mean just living there. I mean presently engaged, actively involved, doing what it takes. That is what is required in order to ensure that our young males have what they need to rise up and meet the challenges of a world that is literally hostile towards them. Out of the box, they are born enemies of mainstream, and they have to find a way to rise up and be everything that they deserve, that they are designed to be. And they get that from seeing it done. And everything from how we handle conflict in the home to how we wake up every day and put in work to take care of the home to how, when things get rough, we maintain our sense of calmness and sanity amidst all the chaos and the turmoil, and to understand how it's done, to understand the importance of doing it, and to understand the responsibility and obligation that goes along with it. We have a responsibility to our young men. And that's the challenge that I'm placing on the shoulders of black men. Yes, it's good that you're showing up and you're doing, what you're doing. It's good that you're showing up and you're loving on your family and all of that. And it needs to be celebrated more. It absolutely needs to be celebrated more. One of the things, thank you so much, Herbert Harris. Really definitely appreciate you. Look, we can sit up and we can talk about black empowerment. We can talk about black movement. We can talk about black business. We can talk about black educational institutions. We can talk about so much. But let me explain something. If we don't start properly and effectively and actively socializing our black males, they will not be prepared to carry out the duties and responsibilities of black manhood. When there's an absence, there's an emptiness, and we need to understand that. See, the man provides a sense of identity for both son and daughter. It is the sense and the source of identity. It's the dad who plants the seed of beautiful. While she'll hear it from her mother, because it comes from a man and her psyche and her nature is built to receive from a man, she's going to take it differently when daddy says that you're beautiful. One of the things I had going with my daughters, eventually I got busted, but I had it going for a while. One of the things I had going, started with my oldest, who is now 34 years old and has been married for more than 10 years with 3 kids. The one thing that I've done all the way down to the youngest, who is 5, going on 6, and all in between, is that I would have this game I would play. Whenever I came across him, we could be in one side of the house, and I'm with her, and we go to there, we come back around each other. It's like, who's the most beautiful girl in the world? And they would respond, I am, daddy. And I would say, okay, now what can you do? So what can what do you do? You put your mind to it. I can do anything. The sky's the limit. And literally every time I came across them, it was, who's the most beautiful girl in the world? I am daddy. Eventually they caught on to the fact that I was telling their sisters this, later on down the line. Years later, they caught on to it, and then I had to sit them down and explain. Look, you're beautiful. You're the most beautiful girl in the world in this area because you do this. You're the most beautiful girl, but all of you guys are beautiful and in your own way, the most beautiful girl in the world. But what by the time that they reached that time where they were interested in guys, like I say, my oldest daughter's been married to her first. My second oldest is married to her first. My next oldest daughter just graduated college and she's still, finding her way at almost 22 years of age. And, uh, you know, then we move on down. But here's the thing I'm trying to get you to say, get you to see that old adage that you marry, you know, girls marry their daddies and boys marry their moms isn't that far off. It's either exactly on or the opposite extremes, but same results. So you've got to have something solid on both sides. Both parents bring something to the table. You have masculine energy, you have physical, feminine energy, and they both serve a purpose in the home for both male and female progeny. And it's so important for black men that we rise up and stand up. I'm sick and tired of seeing our sisters killed, our babies killed at the hands of our own men. The first thing that we teach young black boys at the Black Men Lead Rite of Passage Initiative is your number one responsibility in life is to protect the black woman. No matter what age, your number one responsibility is protecting our black women. Black females should feel the most safest in the presence of a black man. That's not the case now. Number one is we've got this intimate partner violence and homicide thing going. Second of all, it's being magnified by media and it's being highlighted. While on the other hand, the men who are actually standing up and doing everything that they should be doing aren't getting pressed. They aren't being celebrated. They aren't being spotlighted. And so it seems that the black man is violent, hostile, untrustworthy, and just plain right evil. And the truth of the matter, that's not us as a collective. That is, they're showing the darkness of our male collective as a representation of who we are. The truth is, you can search any group, and you're going to find men who fail, men who are dangerous, men who are evil, men who will not respect, love, and care for women. That's in every racial and ethnic makeup. The thing is, we can't afford to have it because we're going to already be viewed a certain way. Second of all, we're already missing 1.5 million men because of being behind the eight ball. And so, what are we going to do? We are going to have to be more actively involved. We're going to have to create rite of passages for young. And so, what are we going to do? We are going to have to be more actively involved. We're going to have to create rite of passages for young than to heal broken men. And that is so real and so true. And so my thing is, what are we going to do to change this situation? And it's going to be a process. Something else I've said consistently. This isn't a quick fix. This is a generational progressive fix. Generational progressive fix. What do I mean? What we instill in our youth early in life and through socialism, through socialization, and through social learning, and preparing them to step out into this world, a world that is inherently hostile towards them, is what's going to take. You can't wait until they're in their into their teens and 20s and then try to change their thinking and change their mindset. Can it be done? Absolutely. But once you get to a certain age, it's not about someone else coming in and being able to change you. It's about you desiring change at such a level that you go out and seek it for yourself, and then those who are able to help you will. But you don't when you when children are most pliable are going to be under seven and under. Now, if you get them, at 10, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because they're a little bit more exposed to a lot of things that are going on. But at the end of the day, there's so much that can be done when you start giving these babies at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. But we actually have a program. The rite of passage is from 4 to 12, and then you have your rite of passage ceremony, and you walk over into manhood, and then from that point on, you are mentored as you progressively take on more responsibilities as a young developing male, and you're walking into manhood, and then there's a next process and the next process until you actually step into full man. And so that is just the things that are, I mean, it's so much, and we take it for granted. We got work to do, and we can't sit around and pretend as if we don't. So my thing is, I'm challenging everybody to stand up, to walk into the fullness of who they are. I'm challenging everybody to own the responsibility, black men, own the responsibility of what it takes to be a man, but don't sit on it. We need you out there modeling it. We need that. Women, while you can teach and tell your sons all that you want to see in a man, and they can love you and they can understand it, it's going to take a man to model it. It's going to take us to model it. If you go to Samantha, if you go to our website, the link should be on somewhere. Matter of fact, you can click the GoFundMe link or whatever. It'll tell you a lot about what we do. But basically, you're teaching principles, but you're also modeling it by having them exposed to men. And so, in other words, what we know now is there's this saying that kids hear what you do, but more than likely they're going to emulate what you say. I mean, kids hear what you say, but they're going to more than likely emulate what you do. So what you have to do is you have to put a model of what you want them to see in them, in front of them constantly, because what their brain and their mind is exposed to consistently is what's going to have the most impact on their behavior. That's why you see these music labels pushing degraded behavior and the disrespect of our women, the drug culture, the gay culture, so heavily in the music. Why? Because if I'm listening to that all day long, I'm actually programming my mind. What you hear and what you read programs your mind to what you do. You can sit up all day long and say what you're not, but if you expose yourself to anything consistently long enough, your subconscious mind, which was referred to a long time ago as the heart, the center of the soul, is going to sit up and take it and make it the truth, make it your truth. So in other words, if I want a kid to behave a certain way, I expose them to the influences that will do it. They knew a long time ago, just through basic psychology and sociology, that by exposing kids to negative lyrics, that if it was uninhibited and it was the predominance of their programming, that it would have a massive impact on the culture. Now look at the culture from 1980 to 1990 to the 2000s and now. Watch the progression of the music laid right alongside it. Also watch the television programming. Now here's why it's so powerful. Okay, it's going to, anytime the music changes and it's that much of a movement against what is right, you're going to have those who are believers of what is right against it. But what happens is you've got the younger generation who's hearing it and have not established a true sense of concrete norms and standards. So they receive it, and then it starts to become a part of their culture. So they're going to resist the programming less. Then the next generation is going to resist it less. I really need you to really truly understand what's going on. So again, I'm going to ask you to support the work we're doing in whatever way you can. I'm about to get off of here. You guys have a great day.